Kwab, they did it again. OKC Thunder pull a rabbit out of the hat in the second half. They defeat the Boston Celtics 105-92. SGA 33-11-6. Aaron Wiggins, Nick Killer.
Nick Killer.
Nick Killer.
Nick Killer.
15 points, 3 of 6 from three-point range. Lou Dort was in the middle of everything today. 14 points, 6 rebounds, had a technical foul. Tatum with 26, Jaylen Brown with 21 points. Porzingis 19 points, 9 rebounds. But the most important stat of the night, the Boston Celtics, 27 points in the second half. The second most important stat, the Boston Celtics, 9 of 46 from three-point range. Holy crap. Unbelievable. Tried to out-math you, couldn't do it.
Couldn't out-math it. Couldn't do it. That's a lot of missed threes.
That is so many missed threes. That is so many missed threes. But to me, like, it's not even so. They did miss a lot of open threes. Like, Derek White missed a lot of open threes. Threes that they would normally hit. They had a good second quarter attacking the paint when Ihart was out and just getting the ball to the basket. That was the best they looked all game. But the story is the Thunder defense in the second half, how unbelievable it was. I mean, you could look at the 9 for 46 and just say, oh, the Celtics missed their threes. And some of that is true, but the Thunder won this game with their perimeter defense, their point of attack defense in the second half. It was unreal, bro. They switched everything. Even Ihart started switching. In the first half, Ihart would drop a little bit. You know, the Thunder, I make this comparison. I think people are going to trash me for it, but I don't care. I'm going to make it anyway. It reminds me of LeBron when he goes like in a playoff series or a team he hasn't really played against much. He passes the ball a lot. He's kind of looking for his teammates. He's feeling out the defense, seeing how they're playing, checking out coverages. And, you know, this whole time you're thinking like, well, LeBron's LeBron. Why can't he just drop 50 every game? Yeah. The same with the Thunder. You're the Thunder defense. Why can't you switch everything every game and kind of just press up and play that type of defense that you played in the second half? But, you know, what they do is they played a little bit of matchup zone in the first. They played man-to-man defense, maybe slacked off a little bit in the paint. You know, Ihart would drop, I guess, to just kind of see what's going to work. And at the end, it's like, well, if that doesn't work, if we can't get things going, we got this in our back pocket, and we're just going to destroy you. And that's what they did. Unbelievable, man. I mean, to even talk about anything on the offensive end with the Thunder would be just a disservice to how well their defense was in the second half, because their defense 100% won in that game. They created turnovers off of that defense. They changed the vibe of the game off that defense. Jaylen Brown could not penetrate. The only person who could do anything was Jayson Tatum, and that was in the post, which is why I don't understand why Missoula didn't go to that. I think they should have went to Tatum in the post and had him create off of that. If the Thunder don't help, you have a one-on-one with Jayson Tatum in the post. The ball's already in the paint. And if the Thunder do help, that's a kick. And I understand they were 9 for 46, but you could have gotten good three-pointers, which is your bread and butter if you're the Celtics, off Tatum in the post. And I just don't understand why they didn't go to that more. They did a little bit, but I don't understand why they didn't go to that more. Unbelievable, bro. Deja vu. I saw this game the other day as a Knicks fan.
It just felt like the same thing that happened in the next game, right?
Yeah.
Early on in the first, I think the first quarter or so, Jaylen Brown was actually like playing well in terms of
awesome first half.
I think he had 17 points at a certain point. I remember the announcer saying that just because he was getting a lot of buckets inside, some mid-range jumpers. And as the game progresses, and this happened with the Knicks game when I was like, and when we did the recap, I was like, yeah, I just didn't feel like the Knicks were going to win. The Thunder turn up the defensive intensity and activity, and it just feels like a completely different game. It's like, like you said, I know exactly what you're saying with the LeBron comparison. It's kind of just like lying in wait, just trying to figure out, okay, how we're gonna attack this, and they look so comfortable even when they're down. Like a double-digit lead against them they don't look like they're panicked. And they, like you said, the defensive activity is ridiculous. They're number one defense for a reason. Like getting hands in passing lanes, like the guards and forwards blocking shots at the rim, like
SGA on the fast break. Tosses Tatum. Tatum's layup comes back, throws an alley-oop to Ihart and one. It's like, what the fuck am I watching?
That was probably the play of the game. That felt like
it was play of the game. And it was like when I was like, oh, this is over.
I think you would text me. You're like, yeah, yo, they're ridiculous. And I'm like, this. Yeah. It feels like this happens every game I've watched with the Thunder. It feels like second half. They end up down. End of the third quarter, going in the fourth, they start slowing, chipping away at the lead. Dagnall doesn't like play Shai to start the fourth quarters, which I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, what is happening? They're down, but they're so comfortable with like running the offense through Jalen Williams and whoever else is on the floor, and then Shai comes in and it's just a barrage of stops running, and they just they attack, and they play so hard, especially in fourth quarters.
It's ridiculous. And they're missing Alex Caruso, who is arguably the best perimeter defender in the league,
And
which is
Chet,
insane.
And Chet, that's their best one of their best interior defenders.
It's absolutely crazy. It's insane. I was just watching the past 2 games. In the second half, to me they seem like 2 totally different teams. Mm-hmm. And the game before, I've watched maybe 3 of the last 4 Thunder games that they played. Yep. I watched the game they had in Indiana. And what I did was I watched Thunder games. I don't watch. We cover an NBA podcast. We're fans of different teams. I'm not here watching 82 Thunder games. I'm just not. You know what I mean? But I watched enough to like have an opinion on them. And I was watching the Pacer game, and it just every time I watched the Thunder, it was like, well, it just doesn't seem like they try until the end. And then I watched this game, and I was like really paying attention to like how they were playing defense, how they were guarding. And it was just like, oh, they feel out their opponent. It's not they're not trying. It's, all right, well, how do you do against drop coverage? All right, how do you do against this matchup zone? All right, and if we have to, at the end of if we have to, that's when we press. That's when we switch everything. You can say, why don't you do that from the beginning? It's incredibly taxing for anybody who's played basketball at any point in your life. If you play that type of defense for 4 quarters, that's
especially,
a lot.
especially in the NBA. It's kind of like.
And they're good enough in the passing lanes, and they're good enough to play drop coverage. They are good enough to play a matchup zone. I mean, I thought they played decent. When they went matchup zone in the first half, they gave Boston some issues. Yeah. So it wasn't like they weren't like playing good defense in the other way. It was just, they were just feeling out their opponent. And, the more I watch this Thunder team, the more I realize that their ceiling is really freaking high. Yeah. If they can play with that intensity on the defensive end all the time in the playoffs, they're going to be such a tough out. The only way that Boston scored this game was because Tatum was Tatum.
Yeah.
It was Tatum being Tatum. Tatum in the post fade. Tatum taking it to the hoop, drawing foul. Tatum long 3. It was because the Boston Celtics had a superstar who you can give the ball to and get a bucket. Jaylen didn't do it in the second half, but in the Western Conference, they're going to have to see Luka and Kyrie and those players, and we'll see how they do. But the defense is just, it's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
I was gonna say before we switch topics and we talk about Boston a little bit. Do you think the Thunder? Because I keep seeing this a lot on Twitter and online. They're like the Thunder should make a trade. They need to make a trade to drop the team. Like, do you think they?
No.
you like, and the one trade, and I'm only saying this because I'm a Nets fan. The one trade that keeps popping up is people keep saying they should go get Cam Johnson as a wing shooter.
But it's like, I get that, but you saw what Nick Killer Aaron Wiggins did today. Lou Dort went off at any given moment. Like, Jaylen can get a hot from 3, even though that's not what his forte is.
They still have Isaiah Joe.
Isaiah Joe's a 3-point shooter.
But
Caruso hasn't had a good year shooting the ball. But when he comes back, he could hit the 3. SGA hit a huge step back 3 today.
Casey Wallace.
Yeah, exactly. He had a good game, a good second half too. So it's like, would Cam Johnson fit? Sure.
Yeah.
But, and again, they're missing Chet and Alex Caruso, who's the best point of attack perimeter defender in the league, arguably. To me, that is your trade deadline acquisition. You don't need a
healthy team is just like them getting healthier is their
yeah. I mean, sometimes it's like that where it's like we need this, and it's what do the Thunder miss right now? They need another big guy aside from Ihart. Oh, here comes Chet Holmgren, one of the best young big men in the league. Yeah. Oh, and we could use maybe someone who can shoot as well and also not messes up on the perimeter when we play defense, and it's like, oh, just here's Alex Caruso, who's also
gonna make big plays.
Too. Yeah, he's not just a 3-and-D. He can dribble, he can handle the ball if SGA's out. This team is perfect. They're really freaking good, and they're really young.
My only counter, and I'm not I agree with you. I agree with the points you're making. The only counter I'll make is that Presti has all these freaking picks, bro.
But you don't want to just throw them away. You know what I mean?
But if there's a chance of giving up player A or B who doesn't play, who really is not a factor, and like a couple of picks that one of the 200 first round picks he has stored in his backpack to maybe help the team. I don't know, that it could be a possibility, but like you said, this team is really freaking good. Really,
Insane.
like it's crazy. It's crazy. But let's switch to Boston real quick.
Yeah.
Beginning of the year, the way they were playing, we both made a point where it was like, yep, this is they're hands down the best team in the league. Just the way they're shooting, the way they're moving the ball. They've kind of hit like a little bit of a bump in terms of like some of their losses here and there. The one thing I've noticed about them in some of the games I've watched where they've lost is that when they face a team or face teams who play very up tempo, like they're not able to get back and like set your defense, it affects them.
Yeah.
Like that's why a lot of time, like them losing to the Pacers when I was like, and the Pacers haven't really been good all year, but the Pacers basically run even after makes. It, like you could tell it kind of affected them. And watching them against the Thunder, and the Thunder was just in terms of like them getting stops and just pushing the ball down, you could tell it affected them too. Are you in any way worried about the Celtics moving forward when it comes to like later on in the year and playoffs and possibly getting out the East?
Yeah, I am actually, because the Cavs are so much better than I thought they were. The Cavs are on a 72 win pace essentially.
Projected,
which is like insane.
Insane.
And I think they play a really healthy brand of basketball. I think they're flying under the radar. I think that they're good defensively. They're good enough defensively. And we saw today, I mean, granted, again, we'll say it again, the Celtics are not going to shoot 9 from 46 from 3 it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it can happen. You know what I mean? What was their counter today? The counter was, we don't know what our counter is. You know? In the second half, it was, we're going to get the ball to the hoop and get to the rim. And because iHeart wasn't in because the Thunder were kind of playing a matchup zone at times, or, you know, weren't playing the defense that they played in the second half, they got away with it. But when push came to shove, the only person who could do anything was Jayson Tatum. And I just, again, at the end of the day, I probably will pick the Celtics to win the East.
Yeah.
But this has gotten me thinking, man, if they played the Thunder in the finals, that's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be 5 like it was against Dallas last year.
Yeah.
I don't know how the Celtics match up with the Thunder in a 7-game series, especially with Chet and Caruso back. It would be fascinating. I don't think they're the runaway favorite like I thought they were at the start of the year.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a wash. It felt like a wash at the start of the year for
Yeah.
both of us. Remember we watched the first couple of games. We're like, well, this isn't fair. And like we always talk about the math equation. Like the way they still got up how many threes this game?
46.
That's a ridiculous amount of it's a ridiculous amount of threes.
Yeah.
And if a better percentage of them go in, it's a different game. Like potentially it's a different game. But man, go Thunder.
What do you
Thunder
think? What do you think about the Celtics? I mean, are you watching them and like worried about them because they have been losing? I mean, not a lot. Obviously, they're still playing at a ridiculous pace or a really good pace. But like, are you surprised at how much they've lost since their hot start?
Yes and no. I think they're comfortable playing the way they play, and even if it comes with like them losing, they still have like, I feel like what's the right word? They still have like marks they want to hit. Like they want to get up this many threes by like if it's by driving kicks, doubles, and swinging the ball. Like they still want to hit these marks, and they're very like focused on doing that. Like Mazzulla is very focused. Like first of all, like Mazzulla's a crazy ass coach. Like
Insane. Out of his mind.
Insane, completely out of his mind. Just some of the stuff he says, I'm just like, you're a wild man. But he is an NBA championship coach, so in his mind, like you could tell they're even the way they started out the season, they have a plan of how they want to play and how they want to win and how they want to affect teams. I think in a 7-game series, they're gonna be hard to beat. They're always gonna be, just because even if they have rough shooting nights like tonight, they still have some of the best defensive players on their roster. Like their perimeter players are some of the best defensive players like in the NBA, period. And that can change the tide of a game in terms of if you're not shooting well, they can get stops and still finish. It was interesting to see this game though, because I was like, I wanted to see how how Shai was gonna play against Drew and Derek White, and I just want to see how it's gonna look, and the Thunder were able to pull it off. But I'm not as worried. But like you said, I feel like I didn't expect the Cavs to be this good.
Yeah.
After they've been. So it's not a wash to me where I'm like, oh, the Celtics are coming out the East.
I think a lot of it has to do with the Cavs being as good as they are, because if the Cavs were the same Cavs last year, I don't have faith in the Knicks. I don't have faith in the Bucks. So to me, I'd be like,
Bucks.
I might be a little worried.
Yeah.
But I still think the Celtics are coming out. It's more a compliment to the Cavs than it is a diss to the Celtics. I think the Cavs are really good.
Agreed.
I also think they'll learn from this game, man. I mean, the Celtics, the way they get their threes is drive and kick, move the basketball, swing it around the perimeter. But when you have a team like the Thunder who are cutting that shit down, you got to find a different way to get into the paint and drive and kick. And to me, the next logical thing you can do is, all right, let's get the ball in the post, maybe to KP or Tatum, and then if they double, that's when you that's when you kick. Yeah. And if they don't double, then you have, a superstar in Tatum, going one-on-one against the defender who you think he can win or he could beat from 12 to 18 feet. And I'm surprised that Missoula didn't do that more. So I think, the next time the Thunder and Celtics play each other, I do think that when the Thunder decide, hey, we're going to press up, go man, switch everything, I do think instead of doing the whole, we'll try to go from the outside to the paint to kick out, it's going to be more inside out, where it's like old school 90s basketball. Yeah. Get the ball in the post. Even Jaylen Brown's comfortable in the post too. Jaylen Brown's a good post guard. So that's what I'm expecting to see next time the Thunder play. So, I mean, again, am I concerned if I'm a Celtics fan? Only because I think the Cavs are really good. That's the only reason why. I'm not concerned that the Celtics aren't as good as I thought they were. It's just more like there's a contender in the East that I think is really good that has to be accounted for, and also, they're not as untouchable as I probably thought they were. But still, if I had to put money down on it, I think the Celtics beat the Cavs in 7, but don't quote me on that. Anybody?
Don't quote me on that either. I was going to your point. I'm surprised the Celtics didn't get the ball more to KP in the high post. Just because he can easily he has that. He would just shoot right over the defense. He did it a couple of times. I'm surprised that didn't happen more often. But I'm basically in tune with you when it comes to that. I still feels like the Celtics should be the team to come out in the East, but I'm not sold. I'm not sold completely, so just because of how good the Cavs have been.
There we go. All right, listen, we're going to be doing more game reactions throughout the week. Power rankings will be dropping tomorrow as well. Let us know what you think we should do next as far as game reactions, what you think of the Celtics, what you think of the Thunder, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time for another reaction of The Dime. Peace.